No, I know. You got to change your name. Check 1, 2. Do. Hi, kids. Did you know the McRib is back?
Yeah, we talked about that this morning.
Did you know that the McRib is back? I thought the McRib was like McDonald's greatest experiment.
You're welcome.
Tasty
by the
experiment.
This is because of the locker room.
Yeah, I'm sure.
For the last, I'd say, 4 or 5 years, we've been talking about this on the show. And in October, actually the 10th of October, we reran the call this morning. We called the head office of McDonald's, and we talked to a lovely young lady, and we said,
in Toronto or in Alberta?
In Toronto, the corporate offices, Canadian corporate offices for McDonald's.
You went big time. Okay.
Yeah. And we called and we said, hey, why? Like, what is the reason why you guys don't do the McRib? They do it down in the States. We actually talked to my boss. He was considering it. We were going to do a contest on the locker room where we sent people down to the United States of America just to get the McRib and fly back. Now we don't have to do that. It might be coming across Canada. Now, what I would like to suggest is the power is in the hands of the East, as always. You guys are dictating
can we
what happens for the rest of Canada.
There's a good reason for that. There's a good reason for that. Everybody here has a degree.
Okay, that is not true. I know some very dumb people that live in Toronto.
So do I. I know a ton of them.
Some friends.
Most of them are in radio.
So there are 5 stores
in
Toronto and area that have the McRib. And what I want everybody to do is go out of their way and get the McRib so that it's a success, so that they bring it across from the rest of. If you want relations between the East and the West in Canada to get better,
we need to fight for the McRib for Western Canada. All right, I'll do it. I love Alberta. I love that beautiful province of yours. I love.
Get on the damn McRib. We're going to ignore the fact that the McRib is made for pieces of yoga mat, but
no, it's not. It is not. Why are you doing that? If you wanted to stick, stop it. If you want to stick around, you don't sewer the people that make it.
Every once in a while,
yoga mats.
Every once in a while.
So dumb.
Every once in a while, Dean. I have a little yoga mat.
Yeah, I'm sure you're doing it.
It's a good part of a balanced diet.
Yeah, okay.
So there's one in Brampton.
Yeah.
On Steeles Avenue.
Uh-huh.
There's a Queen Street in Brampton. Isn't Brampton close to you?
Yeah. Yeah, Brampton's got interesting demographics too, so I'm not shocked the McRib is back there. I'll tell you that.
Okay, I thought everyone there had a degree, so it's a whole city full of people with degrees.
No, that's what I'm saying.
You are telling me not to shit on the yoga mat McRib, and you're making fun of people from Brampton?
No, I'm just making fun of Brampton. It's the least educated borough in the city of Toronto.
Castle Oaks Crossing.
Scarborough.
There's one on Yonge Street, Richmond Hill, and there's one on King Street.
All right.
That's serving the McRib. Get on it, folks. Make it work.
Everybody's posting their McRib sandwiches too. Look at this. Harry
Tell me you
from
don't want
C-Bus.
that.
He's like, I don't. He's like, this is the most wonderful time of year. McRib time, McDonald's. Dirt McGeegan, first McRib of the season, he says. Let's fucking go. Pardon my language.
Dirt.
Pardon my French.
Imagine a guy named Dirt taking a day
being so
to
stoked.
Go get the McRib. Listen, I love stereotypes. You know why? Because they're real.
Most of them are true. Is that why? Yeah. I hate to paint with a big brush, but the people that are like when I saw that McRib was trending today, I was like, Lachlan's gonna fucking love this.
We did a whole show on it. We called my daughter and told her she had to go get one to keep the success of it alive.
Send one to you? Yeah. I'm gonna go to Brampton and buy like 10 of them.
That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea.
What is your Can I ask you a question for a second before you take over? Yeah, hang on. Can I ask you a question? You're just raging today over the McRib. You won't shut up.
I've been drinking.
Oh, no way. Shocker.
I'm at a point in my cold where I'm relying on whiskey now. Yeah, I'm at the whiskey stage.
I can tell because you're not even listening to anything I'm saying. You're just talking over everything I'm saying. So it's going to be a hell of a show today.
I'm hearing you.
Barely. So anyway, What is your fascination with loose meat sandwiches? Because not only do you stump for the McRib, but
Donairs.
like someone donairs,
So
pitas,
good.
like you love the loose meat sandwiches.
Yeah.
You're like the only person in Canada that I know that's like, if you shit talk Harvey's, we're gonna fight. To the point where someone put this up today, and I thought it was very interesting. You you salivated over this for probably a number of reasons, but you have this. Both those sandwiches want the pipe. You have this incredible desire to eat a loose meat sandwich on a daily basis, that or pho. And I know you're sick, so we'll get to the pho. But what is your fascination with loose meat sandwiches? Just let us in real quick.
I don't
need to
know
spend
what
a
it
lot of
is.
time.
I think it's, by the way, that Arby's meme
Yeah.
has been sent to me 300 times. And every time I see it, I go, I want Arby's. It doesn't turn me off of Arby's. So I'm not sure what the motivation behind sending that meme to me is. It's not going to disqualify me from getting in the car right after this podcast
To get a beef and Swiss?
getting a beef and cheddar and some curly fries. I think that's, where does that come from? Because you're
Yeah,
right.
I don't know where it is.
I
You've got this.
love
I've noticed over
donairs.
like every
I
time we
love
talk about
Arby's.
lunches or dinners or sandwiches, it's always a loose meat sandwich or the
Yeah.
McRib, and you're like,
Do
yeah,
you
this is the
do you
greatest thing I think.
dislike the loose meat?
No, I don't mind loose meat sandwiches. I'm not a fan. But you have this unnatural like love for loose meat sandwiches. And everybody's got a
Never
food
thought of
thing.
it
Like
that
I know
way.
this morning on your radio show, 95.7 Cruise FM in Edmonton, 957 cruisefm.ca. You can listen to Loc'r every single morning on the Locker Room. There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you.
We talked
great
about
show.
pho. We talked about pho. I love pho. I love Vietnamese hot soup.
Now, is it pho or
No.
pho? Because
I say pho.
I've
I
been
don't think you can get it
corrected
wrong.
when I've said pho.
I don't think you can get it wrong. I think it's just
No?
one of
Okay.
those things. And so like I love that stuff, but there isn't like a food that I stump for. There isn't a thing that I'm excited for. There isn't like a sandwich at a fast food restaurant or a fast food restaurant in my life where I'm like, I'm a massive fan. And I love striking up conversations about these things. And you love talking about loose meat sandwiches.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
weird.
and if we're getting into the fast food restaurant conversation,
I don't really want to. But
we
can,
had
'cause you're hammered.
we had a conversation not too long ago in the Locker Room about what fast food joint you would buy merch from, because I've felt for a long time that these restaurants are like, it's a huge missed opportunity. Like if I went to an Arby's and they had t-shirts hanging back there,
You'd
right?
buy one. Yeah.
We have the meats and a picture of their sandwich on it. I probably would buy it.
So would I, to be honest with you. Same. You know what place doesn't have merch, which should? Speaking of great t-shirts, Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box. I would buy a Jack in the Box shirt. Who wouldn't? You're laughing, but I would wear that.
So would I. I'm laughing because I would wear it too. And we got the
A&W.
meats. I'd wear
Come
it.
on. Every time
yeah.
I see somebody with an A&W or any kind of shirt like that, I'm like, why don't I own one of those? Actually, my wife told me to make a Christmas list.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah. Your favorite fast food restaurant merch. Well, they got into it for a while. Like I remember Arby's, was it last year? They made like butterscotch whiskey or something like that. And then, there's a bunch of different places. Like Burger King made like a Whopper cologne, that kind of shit. Tim did the Tim Biebs stuff, which all became collector editions things, right? So some do. But
the KFC
the golden opportunity people are missing out on.
KFC, McDonald's has Crocs. Tell me you don't want a pair of McDonald's Crocs.
I don't want a pair of McDonald's Crocs.
I do.
I don't.
Tell me you don't want the KFC Fire Log, where the whole house smells like KFC when you burn it.
Dude,
I totally want that.
KFC, I open up windows after I bring it home. So it's not like I want to bottle the fucking scent. Same reason why I open up windows after I cook fish. I don't want to smell like dinner everywhere I walk around.
You know that meme of the KFC, the woman at the KFC counter when she's wearing the full outfit, the pajamas, like the tracksuit?
Is there a meme about that? I didn't know there was a meme about that.
Tell me you don't want that tracksuit.
KFC tracksuit?
Yeah. You might want to put big lady in there. Might come up quicker. Might hit the top of the search.
Okay. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Hang on a second. I gotta get this out. This is
Who
terrific.
doesn't want that outfit? Who doesn't want the KFC tracksuit?
Oh, this tracksuit is
I would rock that.
distressed. Yeah, she's not even wearing shoes. She's not even wearing shoes.
Well, sometimes the bigger ladies don't get into the shoes, right? I mean, she might just have a pair of slippers on.
Take it easy. She's happy
Right,
being herself. She's clearly happy with what she eats and happy with who she is.
She's living her best life, and I it's a great ad for KFC wear, in my opinion.
I don't think it is, actually. I think it's the opposite.
I disagree with you.
No, well, you disagree with me, but I'm right. That's how it works. Anyway, yeah, missing out on a golden opportunity. I totally agree. Couple things I want to get to today. I don't want to spend a lot of time on KFC wear. I don't want to spend a lot of time on the McRib.
If you are looking for a Christmas gift for me, though, everybody, anything KFC, I'm good. Or Arby's.
All right. But I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to get to this Bell Media stuff. Google, by the way, is going to unblock Canadian news. Fancy that. We're going to get news on
Google did that
again.
just come down?
That just happened. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of minutes. But I want to talk about two of your favorite things. We've already dealt with one of them, loose meat sandwiches. Hockey rumors is yet another. Now you are in Edmonton. You're mired in what could be the worst start in Edmonton Oilers history. It's just a disaster. And that makes me happy because I know it's the reason why you don't talk about it. They're like in second to last in their division, second to last in their conference. They're shit. And they started as everybody's Stanley Cup favorite, and they're just
that's
garbage.
The problem, Dean.
I know. Well, the hopes
that's what makes it worse. It's not any worse than any past year. It's just that everybody said they were going to win the Stanley Cup this year, and then they lost the first 20 games.
Yeah,
right. And now they got to dig themselves out of a hole.
It was funny too because a couple weeks ago everybody was like, "Oh, they'll turn it around anytime," and then they went on this like 6-game losing streak, and I was like, "Don't talk to Lachlan about it. Don't talk to Lachlan about it."
No,
anyway,
no, we settled in. We know what we have here.
So nothing to go with the Oilers. So apparently you got to talk about Corey Perry, and this story is wild.
Yeah,
like the rumors about it are wild. I joined you on 957 Cruise FM.
I have an update since our conversation this morning.
Okay, well, let's
set it up first.
Yeah, I will set it up. So Corey Perry was effectively kind of persona non grata at practice, and everybody started asking questions about 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago, Locke?
It was just after the mom's trip.
Okay.
It was literally just after the Chicago Blackhawks mom's trip.
Are you serious? Was it really?
Yes.
That's phenomenal. You can. I had no idea. You can read about it at without that detail, crier.co, the home of everything that we do. And it's interesting because the actual story itself was three-headed, almost four-headed, if you will. And the rumors were kind of circulating that he had left the team, I guess, after the mom's trip because he had sex with a fellow player's mom.
Yeah.
And hands up if you heard that, Rob Riggle. Yep, I heard that. Chicago Blackhawks released a statement after an internal investigation. This is like 2 weeks of where is the guy? Where is the guy? We have no idea where the guy is. Where is the guy? Chicago Blackhawks were mum for like 2 weeks. And they're like, well, we've determined Corey Perry engaged in conduct that's unacceptable and a violation of both terms and standard player contracts. Blackhawks internal policies intended to promote professional and safe work environments. As such, Corey Perry's been placed on unconditional waivers. In the event Mr. Perry clears waivers, we intend on terminating his contract effective immediately. And there were two narratives as to why. One, he slept with Connor Bedard's mom. That was just a narrative, rumor. The other one was substance issues. That's super lazy, super disingenuous. But we don't know if any of these things are true. So some of them could be true. None of them could be true. And if you listen to the statement from Pat Morris, Corey Perry's agent, basically he said Corey stepped away from the Chicago Blackhawks to attend to personal matters. Corey and his family appreciate privacy at this time. GM Kyle Davidson didn't do the hockey world any favors either.
No.
When he basically said this, by the way, had nothing to do with those incredible rumors that are going around that we can't substantiate or deny, which made me laugh. So we all salivate after that whole thing. There you go. There's Corey Perry. There's Connor Bedard and Connor Bedard's mom, who seems like a lovely lady. Her name's Melanie. They have both Blackhawks have absolutely denied it had anything to do with Corey and Melanie. And when like actual hockey outlets are writing they are denying that Corey Perry slept with Connor Bedard's mom.
You are making it worse.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Can I weigh in here?
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
so because
unfortunately, yes, you can.
Okay, so here's my thing with this, right?
Yeah.
And the problem is that the NHL and sports franchises, not even just hockey, have dealt with this stuff so poorly over the years, and now all of a sudden they feel like they can step up in front of a bunch of cameras and go,
what, like when players disappear and rumors abound, and then they come with a generic comment, and this is how it's done. You mean this is done poorly? You're saying that
yes,
this is how they've dealt with it forever? Yes, you're correct.
So
okay.
In town, we've got an example in town. Okay, and again, when you're talking about the Edmonton Oilers, and other cities are not unlike the Edmonton Oilers, when you're talking about the Edmonton Oilers, that organization is like the mafia. And I am not even kidding. Like what they do with hockey and how they keep that everybody is on the same page, right down to the sports writers that aren't even employed by hockey.
Let's clear something up. When you say like the mafia, you mean in terms of let's keep everything under the umbrella.
They control
they don't murder
narratives.
People. That's what I'm saying.
No,
yeah, I know.
No, they don't.
Well, of course they do.
No. Well, anyway, so here's the thing. Now, all of a sudden, we're in a new era, and there's been stuff has gotten out, and now all of a sudden, we're supposed to trust you. Listen, I'm telling you, this has nothing to do with Connor Bedard's mom. And everybody just goes, oh, he totally banged Connor Bedard's mom. And then they come out again, and they say, listen, this has nothing to do with any player or anybody's mom. And then we go, oh my God, he totally banged his mom. I mean, every time they come out in the press and they say this, all it does is it just makes everyone go, did Corey bang everybody's mom? Now that's where we're at. He slept with the entire staff's mothers.
Yeah, or sisters. Or wives. Yeah.
They are still denying the Chris Pronger rumors in Edmonton. He slept with a reporter or something like that. Everybody in the city knows it.
Can I ask you a question?
Known it for years.
No, but you don't know it.
No.
But you don't know it. That's the thing, because you don't. And everybody wants to say they do. And hang on, let me finish. Let me just finish. It is always the exact same bullshit narrative that I hear every single time a player takes this weird absence from the team, and there's this crazy silence. And it's not just in hockey. You did it with Andrew Wiggins last year. You did it with every single NBA, NFL player. It's the same.
Well, the Andrew Wiggins one.
Story. That was crazy, wasn't it? Yeah. It was weird. And the rumor always has to do with the player having sex with someone connected to the organization, and it is so lazy, and there is never proof. And I get that hang on, let me finish.
You're telling me it never happens in other organizations?
I'm not saying it never happens. I'm saying it's a dangerous narrative for the person and the female or male, I don't judge, associated with the act, because it puts everybody at risk. And it's just like, I remember the Brindamore Lindros rumors. Remember that? Remember that? Like every single Ally Afraidy, Gary Lehman rumors back in the day.
There was a goaltender and a coach.
Yeah, goaltender. Everybody's banging everybody, and you're like, okay. And so when this rumor came out, and I didn't even pay attention to it, and I got an email from a friend of mine, Lou, and she's like, "Are you following this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, we're big Blackhawks fans. Just so you know, I know some of the people. None of the rumors are true. There's something totally different going on, and no one even knows what that totally different thing is going on. But it hasn't prevented hockey Twitter from recycling the same someone begging someone rumor. Like, it's just bizarre to me. But it's lazy and disingenuous, and it's dangerous for people and I'll be honest, Melanie Bedard, I think it's terrible for her and terrible for Connor, too.
It's terrible for the family, and it does make me feel guilty just a bit. Doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it. Okay, so here's the thing. I consider myself a very, very creative guy. Let's just say you uproot old Loc'r, fly him to Chicago, put him there as a reporter for the Chicago Blackhawks. Okay.
Right.
I'm watching the morning skate. Everyone's out there having fun, high-fiving. Where's Corey Perry? Hey, where's Corey Perry? At no point am I creative enough to go, oh, he must be not here because he banged Connor's mom. Where does that come from?
It comes from like hockey Twitter. It's funny because I give the guys a
so
spit and
somebody just made it up. There's no basis in it at all.
Well, it's the same rumor every time. I don't know if there is. It's the same rumor every time, though. Do you know that? Like, you and I both know that. And some of the rumors are true, some of them aren't. But in this, like the rumor that Taylor Hall is a brony, like he loves loves My Little Pony. He loves getting dressed up as a My Little Pony guy. I'm like,
I know someone who knows somebody that knows somebody that went out with him on a date and had to watch a VHS tape
That's exactly
of My Little Pony in his hotel room.
That's exactly how those rumors start.
That one, here's what I think happened with that one.
What's that?
I think that Eberle and some of his buddies were messing with him.
Yeah.
Okay. And they started the rumor to see what would happen. That's
because he was hated in Edmonton by the players, wasn't he? Taylor Hall.
I don't think Taylor Hall is very well liked.
Wasn't a real popular dude.
In a dressing room, in any dressing room, which goes to show he's played for 15 teams in the last 15 years, right?
And coincidentally, he plays for the Blackhawks now, so that's interesting.
Well, that'll be a good home for him. Okay,
here's the other thing.
Here's what I did here today. I had somebody. You have friends. I have friends. Somebody did see our bit and sent me an email and said, "Well, I saw you and Dean talking about the Connor Bedard mom Corey Perry rumors today on your social media, and it was very, very funny." He said, "Just so you know, there is no basis to that rumor." He said, and it's the furthest thing from that. And then I emailed him back and I said, because I'm like, well, then where did that come from? And he goes, I don't know. Somebody, because no one knows where the rumor started.
Hockey Twitter's dumb, dude. There's a reason why hockey players are the least most educated people in professional sports, and their fans love them because they're just as dumb as the majority of people who play professional hockey.
The other thing that he
banging, sex,
the other
banging.
thing that he did confirm that you said somebody that is friends with somebody in the organization, is that the police are involved. So
there you go.
So that was confirmed this morning after we went on the air and did like 7 breaks on the Locker Room about Corey Perry banging Connor's mom.
I know. I do admonish you on your show too. I'm like, settle down, settle down. Wow, if the police are involved, right? We're talking about a bunch of other stuff.
Then.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think people would be very shocked at how many.
Why can't we just wait? That's the thing. I'm so tired of people who are like,
why are you so boring? What happened? Did you just recently get sued?
No. Yeah, I did. Yeah, but dude, that doesn't stop me. I'll speak the truth no matter what. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm trying to be responsible. I'm generally
messing with you.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I think if the police are involved, you don't just fire somebody like Corey Perry. Walk him out.
What if he's one of those dudes that like goes into the dressing room after
contract.
during practices?
The guy's a point a game guy.
I know he is. He's like he could be a Hall of Famer at some point. He's got like 1,200 points. He's played in the league for 19 years. Stanley Cup champion. He's one of the greatest super pests in league history. He was brought in to protect Connor Bedard. So yeah, man. Like, I mean, you know, there's a lot at stake here. Like his entire legacy's at stake. And if there's something to do with legal process, if the police are involved in this, I wish him nothing but accountability and the best.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like that. I hope he's not in trouble. Being 38, coming to the end of your career, you know, trying to take a million swings to try and figure out where you can win your next Stanley Cup. Be brought into Chicago, be really produced. Like, and he kills the Leafs too. So I'm kind of happy that he's not in the league anymore. But at the same time, you know, it is disingenuous. It is irresponsible. All those things that you're supposed to say, which we all should be saying, to assume or include anybody else's family, any players in this shit, because It's wrong, right? It's not good. It's bad.
You know what? We didn't start it.
No, we just had fun with it.
Open up Twitter.
Oh, it's brutal.
There's 9,000 Connor Bedard memes. I've had 40 of them sent to me in the last day as we started talking about this the other day. I will say this too, because I responded back to my buddy who said this has nothing to do with it's not a sex thing, it's not another player thing, blah blah blah. The police are involved, and he even said he found the rumors odd, knowing what he knows, because they're so far from what that rumor is. And I thought, well, and a lot of times when you hear that kind of stuff, but you hear that from Kyle Davidson, who does a 37-second press conference. You don't hear that from somebody that might be connected to somebody in the team, in the organization.
Do you know what helps in these situations, I find?
What?
Crazy thought. The truth.
Well, exactly.
Just tell us what happened.
Kyle could have done just that by stepping up, and he could have quelled the rumors, and he didn't. They don't do themselves any favors. Here's the other thing that I asked. I said, how bad is it? Is it so bad that this guy's not going to get another gig? And his response was, you'll like this. He goes, I doubt, if he gets another gig, it wouldn't surprise me. It's the NHL. Mm-hmm. That was almost a direct quote. So the organization is so screwed up that,
keep in mind, this is the same organization that talks about player values and contract value that hid sexual assault of Kyle Beach for several years.
Exactly.
And only fessed up to it because they had to, because Rick Westhead has a giant set, and he wrote a bunch of articles on behalf of the player and the family who were dealing with the PTSD and the trauma from the sexual abuse of the video
where's that
coach.
Reporter now? I bet they've run him out of town.
Probably. Yeah, bizarre, man. It's anyway, it's a crazy story. I love a good rumor, though. Still do.
Come on, it's still fun.
It's
fun.
I
mean, I know it's at the expense. If somebody was doing that about my mom, I'd have a bit of pride about it.
You'd high five your mom. Hey, even if the story's true.
Did you bang Corey Perry, Mom? Nice.
Way to go. Yeah.
It's good for you. Good for you, you old bird.
So something else happened today. I want to bring it to your attention. And this is big news. If you get your news online, if you've been one of those people who are like, you know what, I can't seriously access any news. If you're one of those lazy news people, Google and the federal government of Canada have reached an agreement to pay broadcasters, news outlets, to pay them for your news. So you're going to start getting it. Yeah, it's going to start happening. If you remember several months ago, the Canadian government basically said to, I think it was Meta and Google, hey, listen, you're going to be in trouble unless you give us hundreds of millions of dollars a year for people to use your services. And Google and Meta, because their businesses are like, yeah, whatever, pound salt. So they started to work on blocking news from Canadian outlets on Canadian Facebook accounts, Meta accounts on Google, and it happened in a big bad way, and it legitimately decimated. Like, we saw a massive drop. Every single news outlet, online news outlet, saw a massive drop, not only in revenue, viewership, views, users, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
I did notice it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we noticed it in a big bad way. We couldn't get on IG. Everything that we put on IG, no matter where we were, unless we were in Lisbon working, was blocked by Meta. Google just went black. Like, you couldn't access that news. Now, of course, you could also just go to the source to get the news, but people are so effing lazy these days that they don't want to. But the story's actually kind of interesting, and I think it's good news for Canada, and everybody's pounding their chests today. It's on CBC. You can read it. Google and the federal government, Canadian federal government, reached an agreement in their dispute over the Online News Act that would see Google continue to share Canadian news online. In return, the company's going to make annual payments to news companies in the range of $100 million. Sources told Radio Canada and CBC News on Wednesday that the agreement had been reached. Heritage Minister Pascal Saint-Onge confirmed the news on Wednesday afternoon, that is today, So it just happened. Many doubted that we would be successful, but I was confident we could find a way to address Google's concerns. The federal government and Google agreed to regulatory framework this week. And the government estimated earlier this year, Google's compensation should amount to about $172 million. Google said it was about $100 million. So expect that number to be in between. Short strokes, though, along with financial demands, Google had expressed concerns about critical structure issues called Bill C-18. The company said it would not have mandatory negotiations imposed on it for talks with the Canadian media organizations. So effectively, they're going to turn this into a fund, and they're going to dump $100+ million into this fund. And this fund is going to be administered to specific news outlets that qualify. Meaning, yeah, and this is the good stuff. Meaning that Google is now going to pay the Canadian government and the Trudeau government, the liberal Trudeau government. There you go, kids. What the liberal Trudeau government was paying these new news outlets before in taxpayer money. So they're taking the taxpayer-funded news outlets, which the majority, except us and several others, are, and they're saying, now we don't have to pay you. We're going to take money from Google. Probably Meta is next, if I'm to understand this correctly. And we're going to take that money and we're going to give it to news outlets for journalism. Who qualifies? No one knows yet, but I know CBC, CTV, Rogers, Quebecor are going to get the lion's share of this money.
You don't
because
say.
They bitch, moan, whine, piss into the wind the most about it, even though last year Bell made in the neighborhood of $24.5 billion. Rogers made in the neighborhood of $20 billion. Quebecor, something similar. And every single company that gets paid is lining up at the trough, for free money.
The broadcast industry, who has been going through a record consolidation and firings over the last 10 plus years, that's probably going to stop. This won't strengthen the industry. This will just put more money it'll make the rich richer. I was going to ask about the direct correlation between this decision and Bill C-18, because we still don't really know, and a lot of people are quite concerned about Bill C-18. I've avoided the conversation on the locker room because I'm not sure, like, no one knows how to negotiate this, and I'm not going to bring on an expert and try to get a 15-minute explanation on a show where we talk about the McRib all morning. All right, so it's a difficult conversation. All this is, and I read it. I read a little bit about it, Bill C-18, when it first came out.
The Online News Act.
First time hearing of the decision between Google and Meta.
It's all good. It's brand new. Not Meta yet. Meta's not in yet. Google just caved, as did the Trudeau government, because they didn't get what they wanted out of this. They wanted a massive tax. They wanted free-flowing money from them to broadcasters that have done a terrible job, that treat people like shit, like Bell, like Chorus, like Rogers. And they have been firing people, taking government subsidies. It is well documented in every major newspaper, every major news outlet that isn't Bell, Rogers, and it's hard to find. But they have been taking that government subsidy and they've been giving it as dividends to their shareholders taking it as corporate salaries, and then firing the shit out of people to get down to
we're talking hundreds and hundreds of people.
No,
every
we're talking
year.
Thousands.
Yeah,
thousands.
I'm just talking yearly. Yearly. Yeah. The industry is just completely decimated. There's nobody left in it.
And here's the thing. Let me just say this. I do believe big tech hijacked ad dollars and the ability to actually drive revenue in a news and information world. I do believe it. I do believe those companies and the added advantage of the algorithm and the super geniuses they have that have kettled news services around the world should pay. I do believe that. But here's the other thing I believe.
And that's the thing that makes it difficult about Bill C-18, because that's how it's positioned in the public. It's positioned as, we're going to make the big guys pay.
Correct.
But if you really start to lift the sheets and look in the linen, that's Bill C-18
full of skid marks on the sheets.
Oh, it's
But
not good.
Here's
And
the other thing
again,
I believe.
I
Other
don't
than
know
the
enough.
kettling of journalists, broadcasts, revenue ad dollars, inventory in this country, the other thing I believe is this. I believe this is a bribe. I believe that you are looking at and watching to some extent. I don't believe it's well thought out. They haven't figured out how to do it, but I believe this is one of those things that really big media outlets who have failed people, who have taken cultural approaches to delivering news, who continue to divide Canadians on a daily basis, who have shit all over this government and its institutions, are going to take this money and continue to divide Canadians with it, pay people to do that for them, and pay different individuals in the political spectrum and in the media spectrum to do their dirty work. And that's the problem that I have with it. And here's, if they want to make people happy, like if the Trudeau government, who I can't stand, and the institutions that have somehow figured out a way to suck hundreds of $1 million out of Google first, Meta's next, guarantee it, they have to put some kind of checks and balances and regulations in place where it's not just the people that they have dinner with, the people they vacation with, the people who donate to their parties and causes from those media outlets
benefiting from this
that
money.
benefit from this. It has to be everybody who does earnest work in this space, who works really, really hard to get information, entertainment, and to create an environment where entertainment, news, and information can exist on a digital level, not just a mainstream level, a digital level. And if they do that, I'll tell you what, that'll change everyone's mind. If they say, okay, listen, we're going to spread a couple $100 million around the news ecosystem, the information entertainment ecosystem in this country for people who are accountable, who report on the news, who don't use it to gaslight, and you shut out the people who do. You shut out the rebel newses of the world and the true north dickheads of the world. You shut out the people that peddle in misinformation and disinformation, and you say, hey, this comes with an accountable thing where we're going to review your shit every year and you're going to requalify for your subsidy. And you can say whatever you like about us, but it's got to be true. It's got to be fact-based. And if we fact check you and it's not, we're going to take all that money back.
Yeah.
And you're not getting shit. We're going to give it to people who do.
I love your idea here, but I will say this. I caution you that if you think that this is going to happen, you have a better chance of a unicorn flying out of your ass.
Oh, I know. I'm just making a statement publicly.
A rainbow-colored unicorn flying right out of your ass
behind it. I know,
and being able to communicate with you and being a great pet and companion.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. And it's interesting because it comes on the heels of, I don't know if you Bell Media. What do we do with them? Bell Media is just a giant satanic organization when it comes to news and information, and when it comes to employment.
What have they done now?
Well, let me share a couple things with you, because to me, this is like one of those stories where you're like, are you kidding me? I can look up how much money you guys made last year, so why are you crying poor? You know, one of those stories?
Yeah.
And Bell Media told the CRTC, which is just another like bullshit organization, which is a government organization, a para-government organization of appointed people from broadcasters like Bell that govern and set rules and regulations for mainstream media in this country and media and broadcast in this country. And those rules and regulations largely have not changed in like 60 years. It's just ridiculous.
Well, and they're antiquated now, and they're doing more to actually do damage to mainstream media. And I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that for years, that these regulations need to change. And this government and the bodies that govern mainstream media, terrestrial radio and television and newspaper, they have their heads so far up their ass, and they're part of the reason why we have the industry that we have right now. I mean, a lot of it is corporate greed, but these regulations are just not fair. How can you?
All of it is corporate greed.
One very simple example, and there's more than one. We have CanCon regulations. We are forced to play. And listen, you can. I'm a proponent of
Are you
CanCon.
seriously going to go in on playing? Like, are you seriously going to rage?
Dude, this is
on
part
playing
of it.
Canadian
This is
music
part
right
of
now?
it.
Oh,
This is part of it. And I said
take
one
forever.
small example.
All right.
We are still mandated to play a certain percentage of Canadian music.
Yeah.
No one else is. None of these other services that you can get on your phone in 10 seconds are regulated to play CanCon or a certain percentage of it. You're hurting the industry by forcing terrestrial radio to do that. That's one of many examples, Dean. One of many examples of something that should have gone away 20 fucking years ago.
I'm glad you brought it up. Bell wants more of that. Now they want it online. And they need money. They need it bad because they only made $24 billion last year. Let's go to the tape. A Bell executive told the CRTC during an online news streaming ad hearing that your priorities are backwards. Bell Media owner BCE wants the federal broadcasting regulator to create news funds. They just did that would provide money to broadcasters. And here's the part that makes me laugh. Require foreign streamers to contribute to the subsidy through their Canadian content spending. There you go. There you go. There you go. They are trying to prevent other news outlets, other streaming outlets, and I don't know how this is even possible. And I've thought about this. I read it 2-3 days ago, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But they want the federal broadcasting regulator to create a news fund that will provide money to broadcasters, and so they just did that. And these keep in mind, these people only made $24.5 billion last year, and then fired hundreds of people with those subsidies meant for those people, and require foreign streamers to contribute to the subsidy through their Canadian content spending. Bell representatives, this is ballsy, told a CRTC panel Tuesday the commission should simultaneously exempt Canadian streaming platforms such as Crave, which, by the way, they own, from those new obligations until traditional broadcasters receive regulatory relief. Legislation received royal assent in April. In September, the CRTC released a decision that closed 2 previous consultations launched and related to Bill C-11. Now the commission is seeking to determine what contributions traditional broadcasters and online streaming services will need to make to support Canadian Indigenous content. Bell's presentation took issue with the regulator, saying, which what the company described as a crisis for Canadian broadcasters, saying your priorities are backwards. Traditional broadcasters are the linchpin of Canadian broadcasting systems. They need relief now. So what they basically said, now let me kind of paraphrase the whole story. What they basically said, Loc'R, is this. What Bell is saying is this. We have no money, made $24 billion. Fired hundreds of people. Fired hundreds of people last year with their government subsidies. Are you saying they made 24? Let me finish. They made $24 billion last year. Fired
as a company.
Hundreds and hundreds of people with the government subsidies they were supposed to give to their kids, their people who work there, employees, who they're like, yeah, we're out. We're going to carve because we need money to pay dividends to shareholders. That's what they did. And it's well documented, so I don't need to ferret that out. But what they're saying is this new online news act says that we have to pay a tax too because we are a service. They're saying everyone else around the world should have to pay into it. We shouldn't because we're broke.
Yeah. Well, what the one thing about Bell and asking for this is that what they're doing is they're showing them the losses from the broadcast industry. So I just want to point that out because radio, television, and newspaper and traditional forms of media are struggling for ad dollars. There is, if you just take their radio stations and just remove that and then look at those numbers, they're not making the money they were making 25, 30 years ago. So the people that are in front of the CRTC aren't necessarily there representing the company as a whole. They're there trying to represent, and I'm not defending them, because you'd think maybe they would offset their losses in some of their other areas with the money that they're making from
Mobile.
violating Canadian citizens with their cell phone bills and their so you'd think that would be a thing. But
Yeah.
if you just take a look at what traditional radio, traditional television, newspaper is making, it is in trouble. So they're not wrong. That's where this conversation is starting from. Unfortunately, when you present that case and you're employed by a company that makes $24 billion, it's hard to chew on, right? You should send smaller companies in there to fight the fight, because smaller companies are like, we're losing. Where I think the issue is, in my opinion, isn't so much from the perspective of major radio and television and broadcast and news outlets in, like, say, in Toronto or whatever. Or if I tune into CBC, I'm watching the news or whatever. It's not about that. It's about the information that's getting to the smaller markets in the rest of Canada. And that's why, as much as I if you've heard me talking about CBC, you may think I'm anti-CBC. I'm not, because I think we do need to find a way to get information to the smaller markets. And that's something that isn't happening as much as it used to. And I think it is something to be, we need to have at least from the news side of things, we need to have people out there reporting on stuff and doing news the way we traditionally did it, as opposed to one guy in Toronto pumping out stories across the country, right? Like, that's my concern about where the industry is. And unfortunately, the industry is having trouble making money. And so what the bigger companies are doing is they're cutting. I know you're smiling, but they're having trouble making money in the smaller markets. Ad dollars are drying up. The industry is becoming way more segmented. You're a part of the problem, Dean, with your podcast empire that you're building. So that's happening. And what the direct result is these bigger companies are finding ways to consolidate more and more and more. I was on the phone with a friend of mine going, why the hell he was driving to Ontario. He had to take a vehicle to his brother in Toronto. So he was driving and he was flipping. He thought it would be fun to flip around from radio station to radio station. And he goes, I've heard Todd, who I know lives in Edmonton, 14 times on this road trip. I'm like, well,
that's because we had to consolidate because these guys are so poor. Yeah. Like, listen to this. Let me explain this to you. They're so poor. Like Rogers radio stations, Rogers Media last year, Rogers Communications. This year only made 13.5% more than they did last year, from 11.8 billion to 13.47 billion. So of course they have to have a guy do radio stations in 15 different markets. Of course they got to fire everybody. Bell, same thing. Bell doesn't even staff radio stations anymore, generally speaking. And in the news like news outlets and newsrooms are gutted. They only made 10% more than they did last year, 24.5 billion. So of course they need the money. You crazy? They can't. They can't find it.
I get the sarcasm, but I'm trying to position this. I'm trying to segment it a little bit, because
I know.
You're right. It's infuriating. Right. It's infuriating when a company is sitting complaining about money, but they'll go, we don't cross streams here. We're not. Everybody's on their own. So the broadcast industry is on their own. So they don't get a piece of the cell phone money, right? They got to live within their own.
Generally speaking, I know how they segment and silo different parts of the business. Yeah. That part of the business doesn't float this part of the business. But let me suggest this. There are a couple businesses that are much bigger than those businesses that do that in this country. That'll say, hey, listen, we're going to take money from over here. We're going to prop this business up over there, because there are human beings who need jobs, and it is still a great brand, and it's still important to us that we're really good at what we do. right? So, and if we get really good people to deliver that messaging, that means they can deliver the messaging on behalf of this other part of the company that's propping this part of the company.
Mhm.
No one thinks about those things. You know what they do? They say, forget it. Let's go get a bunch of money from the government. Let's totally compromise our news process, because anytime, dude, and this is, and I don't like Elon Musk, but he was right. The second you take government money, the second you take political money, you're an agent of the government or that political party. You just are. That's just the way it works. And so I discount almost every narrative that comes from any news service that is funded by the government to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. I discount it. And I don't take them seriously, because they can't trust people who have their hand in the government jam over here, right? And over here, they're giving a whole bunch of shareholders the double Dutch rudder. Like, you just can't. And so I don't believe any of those people, and it compromises everything. And I believe that to be 100% true.
Well,
and on
I'll tell
top
you
of it, the
what
human
makes it
cost
worse.
is just ridiculous.
I'll tell you what makes it worse. When that happens, you get a local Edmonton morning show that spends an entire day talking about the McRib, getting texts from people that think that everything that we say is scripted by the Liberal government. And do you want to make me angry? Send me that text.
Yeah.
Send me that text.
Same
that
thing.
Incenses me.
Perfect example.
Like, I didn't see any of that money that was used to prop up broadcast. That didn't go into my pocket.
No.
And nobody sends me a script for my show or tells me how to think or how to present the content that I present on a daily basis. So, yeah, two things. Tell me how to do my job. And two, tell me that I'm in somebody's pocket. I will lose my mind. I've almost had seizures on the air from people suggesting that.
I'd like to see that, actually.
Oh,
I wouldn't mind seeing you have a seizure. You'd be a big oak falling down. If you had you had a seizure last week, or you passed out last week?
We had a text last week when I don't even remember what we were talking about. Somebody was upset about something. Oh, we were making fun of Danielle Smith, suggesting that people from the electrical companies might start going to jail in 2035 if we don't meet our new regulatory. She's such an idiot. Oh my God. And then somebody texted in a bunch of stuff about the experimental vaccine, about people getting thrown in jail because the Liberal Gestapo decided that they didn't like what they were saying and that they had their bank accounts frozen. And you guys are promoting the experimental vaccine, and you're just parrots for the Liberal government. I was cross-eyed. Grant was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm going to need to lie down."
Can't stop.
And not only that, I've always got to take a step back and because I know that guy is never letting that go. Right. Jimmy, God love him. His father, who we've since lost a couple of years ago, passed away. His old man, Jim, was so angry about the seatbelt laws. To the day he died, he refused to put a seatbelt on.
You're allowed.
It was 20. I think he passed away in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, January 2021. The day they took him to the hospital and then he didn't come out, he wouldn't wear his seatbelt on the way to the hospital in Lethbridge.
But that's, dude, and see, here's the thing: is I support that.
That guy's going to be talking about the experimental COVID vaccine
forever
until he dies.
Do you not notice? Do you not know? And maybe he will, maybe he won't. But do you not notice that? Like, I was watching this thing on Twitter the other day where Steve Bannon and some other asshole were like, "This experimental vaccine was forced on us." I'm like, "Oh my God, you guys are still on that?"
Still.
You guys are still doing that? There are a certain subset of people out there, and we'll end with this, who really believe and have to believe that they've been lied to justify their existence over the past several years, right?
Yeah.
Because guys like you and I, who've been vaccinated, we walk around, we don't talk about it, we're healthy as horses, everything's great. Everything's great.
Well, not me. I think maybe I do have COVID, even though I'm testing negative for it. I think
You're
that
fine.
vaccine's hiding the fact that I have COVID now.
No,
it's
I don't
slowly
think it
killing
is.
me.
I don't think
That's
it
why
is.
I'm
You
on the
just got a
whiskey.
cold. No, you got a cold. I love it when you're on the whiskey, by the way. I really do. You did a great job. You really did today. Really proud of you.
Thank you.
Kind of hung in there. Go get some pho or a loose meat sandwich.
Ooh.
Yeah, clean yourself out.
Now. Maybe I'll put a loose meat sandwich in a bucket of pho. I'll send you a pic.
Please do. Great to see you. Thanks for stopping by.
That was a good one today, brother. Thank you.
That's fun. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. Give him a follow at
on the
Lachlan
show
Cross
tomorrow
on Twitter. Yeah, I guess
we have a favor to ask you.
Yeah, for sure. Is it like is it a sexual favor or is it just a favor?
I don't want to get into it. I want to talk about it tomorrow.
Okay. So we'll be on the air with you tomorrow. I look forward to it, dude. All right, bud.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon. Lachlan Cross, 957 Cruise FM in Edmonton. That's it for us, everybody. Have a great day. As always, we're brought to you by our friends at Muse on the Mic. Muse on the Mic, a tremendous podcast from Emily and Riley, owners of Muse Massage Spa, Toronto's #1 body rub parlor. Totally legal, absolutely licensed, very high end, but their podcast is phenomenal. Not only can you listen to them on Patreon or anywhere you'd find podcasts, including Crier Media, you can also listen to the girls dish on some of the juice in the industry. That's a funny word for that. And in the world. It's also bingo month and bingo night every year. Babelicious bingo. At Miss Emily _ Emily _ Muse. Give her a follow and give the ladies at Muse a follow as well. These people are lovely, Emily and Riley, and they run a tremendous business and they support sex advocacy and they are very open and honest and they provide a service that not many people do in a place where not many people can. And they're part of a larger community of people who advocate for people in that industry. And their podcast is Bananarama. It's awesome. You get a chance to listen to some real inside stuff. So make sure you download and subscribe to Muse on the Mic. That is one of the best podcasts you're not listening to. I can guarantee it. As always, we're brought to you by our friends at Cantork as well. Cantork is the maker of Canada's #1 tool assembly experts. Cantork makes rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches. Leading industrial tool experts. They got a brand new website where you can peruse everything they do. You can spec stuff out and you can see their quality of work. But they are the very best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. No matter the scale of your bolting project, they have your solution. Go to cantork.com today if you're looking for a loosening or fastening / bolting solution. They make the best torque tools in the world for heavy industry around the world. So give them a little ringy-ding today and go to cantork.com for more information. And we're brought to you by Gitch, the #1 luxury underpant in Canada. That's right. Boxer briefs, pouch in the front. You want them. We wear them. You can get them for free right now. Gitch3 is your promo code. Not only, friends, not only do they have a bunch of different colors, they got a bunch of different sizes. And I can guarantee you they're the best underwear you've ever worn. Luxury branded boxer briefs, pouch in the front. Can't miss. Free pair. Gitch3 is your promo code. Go to Ed's Fine Imports right now. edsfineimports.com. Buy 3, you get 1 for free with that promo code. Don't say I didn't give you anything. Merry Christmas, everybody. And Merry Christmas from Ed. And Merry Christmas from Gitch. But have a great day. Don't forget, do us a favor if you can, rate, subscribe, review, tell your friends about the podcast, and want to thank everybody for being here. It was a fun little rip through a couple of little subjects, and then we sewered media, which is kind of one of my favorite things to do. However, we're all in this together. Not really, but some of us are. Have a great day. Be good to yourself. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.